Many of baseball's early dramas were dictated by pitchers, like 3 shutouts by Christy Mathewson in the 1905 World Series. And screwballer Carl Hubble striking out 5 straight future Hall of Famers in 1 All-Star game. And a record back-to-back no-hitters tossed by the Reds' Johnny Vandermeer. But no story was as big as this.
Red Sox sell root the Yankees, Sox dump the Babe, read all about it.
The season after leaving Boston, Babe Ruth would hit 54 homers for his new team, the New York Yankees.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin. England declares war on Germany.
1939. As a fragile peace falls apart in Europe, the pride of the Yankees dynasty has become prematurely frail. But his power and poise are present, and the words echo still.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Summer of 41. Jolton Joe's astounding hitting streak reaches 56, and Ted Williams, the last to finish the season batting over 400.
Ted finishes the doubleheader 6 for 8, batting .406. Not too bad of it.
He is 28 years old, the chosen one. On April 15th, 1947, on a gray Brooklyn afternoon, Jackie Robinson crosses the foul line at first, onto the green diamond, wearing the uniform of the National League Dodgers. And as he crosses that line and takes the field, he changes profoundly, not just a sport, but a nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the grandson of the late Jackie Robinson, Jesse Sims.
4 years later, Robinson and his Dodgers are on the wrong side of a miracle. It's October 3rd, 1951. It's 1954. We're rocking to a whole new sound. World Series, Game 1. 8th inning, Indians and Giants tied at 2.
There's a long drive, way back in center field, way back, it is. Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays!
As a young president was setting a bold agenda, a Yankee was reaching to do the Babe one better. There was agony and an asterisk for Roger Maris. But in the end, a moment of ecstasy.
The windup. Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Oh, one small step for man.
As our universe got smaller, the diamond was expanding. In 1971, Satchel Paige became the first player elected as a Negro Leaguer into the Hall of Fame. 1 year later, Puerto Rican legend Roberto Clemente, one of the leaders of the Latin Revolution, would reach the magic mark of 3,000 hits on what would be his final at-bat. You could say the ball started its historic flight right here in Milwaukee in 1954. It would continue for the next 20 years, landing 1,000 miles away in Fulton County on a sultry Georgia night, April 8, 1974.
Fastball is a high fly to the deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. What a marvelous moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol.
The career that began in Milwaukee took Hank Aaron to the White House today, where he received the nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, just off the plane from Washington, D.C., Milwaukee Brave and Milwaukee Brewer, all-time home run king, Hank Aaron.
Records will continue to fall. Rose out-hits Cobb.
That's number 4,192.
He's going.
Henderson outsteals Brock.
He's got it.
Arlington, Texas, May 1st, 1991. Nolan Ryan is one strike away from no-hitter number 7.
Entire stadium standing in anticipation of the final strike or the final out. Ryan has done it again.
Baltimore, September 6th, 1995. Cal Ripken Jr. had come to work 2,131 times without a day off. And after passing Gehrig's astounding mark for durability, Ripken's ovation roared for 22 minutes and 15 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, future Hall of Famer, Cal Ripken Jr.
than a century of seasons, baseball would have a season of the century. Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire chasing the romantic mark of Maris in the summer of 1998. On September 8th, McGwire got there first. Number 62, and as fate would have it, Sosa was there to applaud. In 2001, a rookie phenom from a distant shore arrived like a tsunami and led Seattle to a season not seen in a century.
One more time!
Also in 2001, we'd witnessed the greatest slugging display in Major League Baseball history.
Swings and there it is to right center field. Way back to the flag post. He did it! Bonds did it!
Now at 594 home runs and counting, he has 3 baseball immortals left in front of him. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and next within his sights, his very own godfather, Willie Mays. Ladies and gentlemen, the single season home run king, Barry Bonds.
Finally, again and again, so many of our seasons have been defined by October, the month when Don Larcy reached World Series perfection.
Here comes the pitch. Strike 3. A no-hitter, a perfect game for Don Larson. Yogi Berra runs out there. He leaps on Larson.
And Jack Morris shut down the Braves for 10 innings in Game 7. We know that October can also be the cruelest month.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
And we know, if you want immortality on this diamond, you knock it out of the park in October, when it counts the most. As Bill Mazeroski did with that cataclysmic walk-off homer to win the 1960 World Series. And Carlton Fisk with his Game 6 dance of joy. 3 consecutive home runs in 1977 made him Mr. October for the ages. Then in 1988, a hobbling Kirk Gibson defied all reason.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone!
And in 1993, Toronto's Joe Carter would reward Canada with back-to-back World Series titles.
Well hit down the left field. Way back and Joe Carter with a 3-run homer.
Ladies and gentlemen, 5 October legends. Bill Mazeroski. Jackson, Kirk Gibson, and Joe Carter.
We have a very tragic alert for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center here at the
And then, last season, in the aftermath of that inexplicable September morning, baseball was what we needed it to be, a refuge. And the Fall Classic was just that. And how marvelously it ended. Bases loaded, the Yankees with their supreme closer on the mound, the D-backs with their best hitter at the plate. At its best, the game is a return to innocence, allowing us to see.
From the Anaheim Angels, manager Mike Scioscia. From the Cleveland Indians, manager Charlie Manuel. Now the players. From the Anaheim Angels, outfielder Garrett Anderson. From the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman Tony Batista. From the Boston Red Sox, shortstop Nomar Garciaparra. Outfielder Johnny Damon. Pitcher Ugueth Urbina. From the Chicago White Sox, first baseman Paul Abengo. Pitcher Mark Burley. From the Cleveland Indians, shortstop Omar Vizquel. From the Detroit Tigers, outfielder Robert Fick. From the Kansas City Royals, first baseman Mike Sweeney. From the Minnesota Twins, pitcher Eddie Guardado. Catcher A.J. Pierzynski. From the New York Yankees, shortstop Derek Jeter. Third baseman Robin Ventura. Pitcher Mariano Rivera. From the Oakland Athletics, shortstop Miguel Tejada. Pitcher Barry Zito. From the Seattle Mariners, pitcher Kazuhiro Sasaki. Pitcher Freddie Garcia. From the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, outfielder Randy Winn. From the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Roy Halladay. Now let's meet the National League All-Stars. First, the coaches. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, manager Jim Tracy. From the Montreal Expos, manager Frank Robinson. Now the players. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, outfielder Luis Gonzalez. Catcher, Damon Miller. Second baseman, Junior Spivey. Pitcher, Byung Kim. From the Atlanta Braves, outfielder Andruw Jones. Pitcher, John Smoltz. Pitcher, Mike Remlinger. Pitcher, Tom Clavin. From the Cincinnati Reds, outfielder Adam Dunn. From the Florida Marlins, second baseman Luis Castillo. Third baseman Mike Lowell. From the Houston Astros, outfielder Lance Berkman. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, outfielder Sean Green. Pitcher, Eric Gagne. Pitcher, Odalis Perez. From your Milwaukee Brewers, first baseman, Richie Sexton. Shortstop, Jose Hernandez. From the Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher Vicente Padilla. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, pitcher Mike Williams. From the St. Louis Cardinals, pitcher Matt Morris. From the San Diego Padres, pitcher Trevor Hoffman. From the San Francisco Giants, pitcher Rob Nen. Catcher Benito Santiago. Now let's meet the American League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the New York Yankees, Joe Torre. two-time MVP, Brewers legend, Hall of Famer, Robin Yount. Leading off from the Seattle Mariners, right fielder Ichiro Suzuki. Batting second from the Boston Red Sox, third baseman Shea Hillenbrand. Batting third from the Texas Rangers, shortstop Alex Rodriguez. Batting fourth from the New York Yankees, first baseman Jason Giambi. Batting fifth from the Boston Red Sox, left fielder Manny Ramirez. Batting sixth from the New York Yankees, catcher Jorge Posada.
Párate, ¿para dónde tú vienes? Te dije que te pararas aquí. Viola. Viola.
Batting seventh from the Minnesota Twins, center fielder Torrey Hunter. Batting eighth from the New York Yankees, second baseman Alfonso Soriano. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen from the Boston Red Sox, Derek Lowe. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2002 American League All-Stars. Now let's meet the National League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Bob Brenly.
All right, Joe. Good luck. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
The honorary captain, 15-time All-Star, going into the Hall of Fame later this month, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith. Leading on from the Montreal Expos, second baseman Jose Vidro. Batting second from the Colorado Rockies, first baseman Todd Helton.
All right, Todd. Have some fun, big boy.
Batting third from the San Francisco Giants, left fielder Barry Bonds. Batting fourth from the Chicago Cubs, right fielder Sammy Sosa. Batting fifth from the Montreal Expos, center fielder Vladimir Guerrero. Batting sixth from the New York Mets, catcher Mike Piazza. Batting seventh from the Philadelphia Phillies, third baseman Scott Rowland. Batting 8th from the Philadelphia Phillies, shortstop Jimmy Rollins. Batting 9th and warming up in the bullpen from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Curt Schilling. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2002 National League All-Stars. Ladies and gentlemen, than walks this season. And let's take a look at the lineup for the American League. It's presented by Budweiser. Ichiro will lead it off. He's in right field. And Shea Hillenbrand of Boston bats second. Alex Rodriguez, the shortstop. Jason Giambi cleans up at first base. Manny Ramirez in left. Jorge Posada is the catcher with Torrey Hunter in center. Alfonso Soriano is batting 8th. And Derek Lowe pitching and batting 9th. Won't get to see him swing the bat most likely unless the American League has a bust-out inning here at the start. We'll talk more about Derek Lowe when he heads to work. Right now working is Curt Schilling.
A fascinating season already. 186 strikeouts and 13 walks. And as Joe said, 14 wins, 13 walks. His strikeouts to walks ratio is the best ever. The best ever over half a season. And that's at first point right there. His strikeouts, not strikes. He was very, very forthright in the press conference yesterday in saying we do not want to strike this year. The only strike you're going to see tomorrow night is strike one. And he has finished what he started. He is his own stopper.
Bob Brenly, manager of the world champion Arizona Diamondbacks, had to go through the arduous, grueling process of trying to put the reserves and the pitching staff together. Talked to him before the game about that. There are 5 Diamondbacks without Randy Johnson, who's sitting out this game. There are 6 Yankees. Joe Torre is well aware of the strings that are attached and the criticism that is inherent in selecting the rosters for the All-Star games. And there he is standing next to former mayor Rudolph Giuliani, and we will hear from Rudolph Giuliani a little later on in this game. Away we go. Is this broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. First pitch is hit hard, but right at the first baseman. Help one away.
I think there are 2 things that you see in All-Star games that are common. First ball hitting and solo home runs. Rarely does base running change the course of an All-Star game.
So much so that these managers come into these games and they really don't give signs.
No.
The signs are yelling. Don't run, run.
Right.
And if you can throw them out, throw them out. A lot of teams and a lot of base stealers have been running on Mike Piazza this season. He does the catching and he receives a ball up and away from Curt Schilling. Shea Hillenbrand may be the most improved hitter and overall player in the American League, and it's a surprise, but it is justified that he is here starting as a third baseman for the AL as the count evens at a ball and a strike.
One huge hit after another. A pinch hit grand slam against Tampa Bay earlier in the year. The Boston Red Sox in the first half only 2 games behind the New York Yankees.
So with 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike. And Shea a little late with that swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hillenbrand will turn 27 a bit later on in this month. And his 51 RBIs, the second highest total by a Boston Red Sox third baseman in their history at the break. Second highest to Wade Boggs, who drove home 55 back in 1987. It stays 1-2. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez waits to hit next. Hillenbrand, part of a Boston Red Sox team that hits the break 2 games out behind the New York Yankees. And Hillenbrand is up there ready to swing. It's still 1-2.
Including Pedro Martinez, as you take a look at Derek Jeter, of course. Including Pedro Martinez, the Red Sox have 7 electees to the All-Star game this year. That's the most since 1946 when they had 8, and they won the American League pennant that year.
That's foul again, and Hillenbrand is putting on quite a battle and at least making Schilling work. After Kurt jumped out in front at a ball and 2 strikes. There's Derek Lowe. He'll be the starter tonight for the American League. And he's really an incredible story. Consider where he came from last year. Former closer for the Red Sox, now a starter, and here he is starting the All-Star game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bob Brenly, we talked to him before the game and said, Bob, come on, give us a little bit of help. What's your pitching rotation going to be for this game? Who's following who? What's going to happen with your reserves and your position players as Hillenbrand strikes out? He said, I don't know. We'll just get into the game and see what happens. Now get out of my office. I can't believe I ever worked with you two. As Hillenbrand comes up empty, 2 out.
That's what Schilling says with that fastball to Hillenbrand. Get out of my office.
Curt Schilling telling Alex Rodriguez that he's going to throw him all fastballs in this at bat.
Hit me if you can.
So here we go. Said mano a mano, 1-on-1. Alex Rodriguez trying to fight back a smile. He knows what's coming. Does he trust Curt Schilling? You have to, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so. In the All-Star
mind games.
However, there's always that thought in the back of your mind.
There's one fastball. 97 miles an hour. Alex Rodriguez, who is on pace, Tim McCarver, you love it.
I do.
Well, that all-time home run mark, if he continues with this kind of prowess that he's been putting up year after year as he dumps one foul down the right field line. 2 fastballs, 2 strikes. Schilling proving that the best pitch is still that good fastball.
That is the best fastball Schilling has thrown. That had some cut action to it. You could see Piazza sitting outside, the ball cutting away, almost flared to right by Rodriguez.
He didn't say they'd be straight fastballs.
No. Say what kind of action would be on the fastballs.
Well, here you go. Schilling a rare back and let it fly.
Inside, 2-seamer.
1, 2, 3, and Curt Schilling stared down Alex Rodriguez, threw him 3 consecutive fastballs, gets 2 strikeouts in the first, and the National League's coming to bat. Schilling a perfect first. Once again, tonight's starting lineup for the National League, presented by Budweiser. They will lead it off with Jose Vidro. Todd Helton batting second at first base. From the Giants, Barry Bonds, number 4 on the all-time home run list. Sammy Sosa cleans up in right. Vladimir Guerrero bats 5th. Mike Piazza does the catching. Scott Rowland at third base, having a down year, but he's here nonetheless. Jimmy Rollins at shortstop, and Curt Schilling pitching and batting ninth. You look at the numbers for Derek Lowe while these fans honor Mayor Giuliani. Shake the hand of home plate umpire Jerry Davis. And Tim, everywhere he goes, he gets pats on the back for the job he did in the wake of the terrorist attacks last September the 11th.
I guess if there were a scouting report on Mayor Giuliani, he would be a representative of bravado.
And Derek Lowe, he's 12-4.
He keeps the ball in the park too.
His first pitch is on the inside corner to Vidro. Normally we get these guys here in the early innings that are on the mound like Schilling that can just blow the ball by hitters. But Lowe is a sinker ball type pitcher as Vidro hits a 2-hopper to the shortstop. A-Rod, 1 away.
And on cue, sinker ball pitchers throw more ground balls, a ground ball out. And as we said, he keeps the ball in the ballpark from stopper to starter. A guy who was 5-10 as the stopper of the Red Sox last year, the short reliever, with 6 blown saves. Remarkably, a reversal of fortune this year.
Only 24 saves total, and a guy who during a dismal stretch waited at one point after a game for 2.5 hours to let the fans leave the Fenway Park area so he could exit the stadium. And now he represents the Red Sox as the American League starting pitcher. No balls, 2 strikes on Todd Helton.
That's how bad the booing was last year when Lowe pitched at Fenway Park. There's the 6 blown saves, 10 losses, only 5 wins. He had 42 saves 2 years ago and a member of the American League All-Star team as a stopper.
A ball and 2 strikes on Helton, one of the best pure hitters that we will see here tonight. Here's a guy who no doubt doesn't get the credit he deserves for being the kind of player and hitter that he is, and first baseman, because he plays his home games out in Denver, Colorado. The bottom line is the guy can flat out hit. And the count's still 1-2 to the former quarterback, the University of Tennessee.
Played for the Tennessee Volunteers when Peyton Manning was the quarterback there. Peyton Manning will make other quarterbacks go to baseball.
Count still 1-2 as Helton gets the bat on that pitch down and in. Well, last year we were in Seattle, this year Milwaukee, and next year Chicago. Comiskey Park, the 74th All-Star game. Still a ball and 2 strikes on Todd Helton with Barry Bonds on deck, and that's to A-Rod again. Another 2-hopper. Oh hum, a replay, 2 out. That's a sinker ball, Tim.
That's a sinker ball. There's a guy coming up to the plate, however, can turn sinker balls around, number 25 for the Giants. You can see the downward action of that fastball, tapped weakly to short by Helton.
So here's Bonds with the bases cleared. They put the shift on in the infield for Bonds, his 11th All-Star game. And he takes ball 1. That's foul. Nobody manages the home plate area in today's game like Barry Bonds. Getting calls from umpires, rarely arguing with umpires. He'll do it with his teammates, but not with the umpire behind the plate. Didn't get his arms extended as he raises one into right center field. At the wall, it is caught. Oh, what a catch by Torrey Hunter. Woo. Is that any good?
That'll wake you up. My goodness.
Way over the wall to take a home run away from Barry Bonds. And fans in Minnesota will tell you that's routine for this guy. And Bonds says thanks a lot. What a catch by Torrey Hunter. And we are through 1 here in Milwaukee. No score. Wow. Here's the first pitch of the 2nd inning, and it's a high strike to Jason Giambi, who got off to a slow start in Yankee pinstripes or that road uniform. But then one night in the 14th inning, bottom half, a game-winning grand slam, May 17th against Minnesota. It seemed like the fans took him in finally, and he's been on a roll ever since. A little behind where he was a year ago, but nonetheless 22 home runs, 71 RBIs, and an average of .318. Still 0-2. Hard to believe Giambi came up as a third baseman. Was tutored and mentored by Mark McGwire. Giambi took over for McGwire when he left Oakland going to St. Louis, and then took over for Tino Martinez, who left New York and went to St. Louis. It's still 0-2 on Giambi, who won the home run hitting contest here yesterday evening.
That's the reason you come up as a third baseman when you have the tower of strength Mark McGwire at first base. But when McGwire went to St. Louis, Giambi crossed the diamond.
On 0-2. Struck him out looking. 3rd consecutive strikeout for Schilling. And let's go down to the dugout and hear from Kevin Kennedy.
We talked about Torrey Hunter in a pregame show being the best defensive center fielder in the game. You didn't waste any time.
Oh, man, I had to go get that, man. I tried to make some kind of highlight. I'm down for the day. The butterflies are gone.
What did Barry say to you when he picked you up out there?
Yeah, he said, "Hey, good job," and then grabbed me and tried to dump me, but I wouldn't let him.
Well, you got a bat going. You got to get ready for that offense. You got a lot of home runs too.
I got a good guy to face over here, so I'm gonna try to get ready for this guy.
Thanks a lot, Torrey. All right, let's take it back upstairs.
Kevin saying that was one of the 2 players that he couldn't wait to see, and we know why now. Torii Hunter, a high school shortstop, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, absolutely fearless going to the wall. A tremendous athlete. He showed it in the first inning tonight. Here's Manny Ramirez. Quickly 0-2. Manny Ramirez, who went down in May with a broken finger on his left hand. Gave that time to heal, then went out on a rehab assignment, and he's back. And 0-2 from Schilling. Right back up the middle, and it's the game's first hit.
Last November, the Minnesota Twins and the Montreal Expos were to be dismissed this year in baseball. This is contraction right here, as Hunter takes a home run away from Barry Bonds.
Bonds has spent the last 5 minutes with a look on his face like, you got to be kidding me. And so there's still no score. It's 1 on 1 out. Here's Jorge Posada, his 3rd All-Star game. He's a little late with strike 1.
Fastball from Curt Schilling, not the type that Posada is catching from Derek Lowe.
No balls, 1 strike. And now 1-1. You were a catcher. You caught in All-Star games. You get a chance to see somebody like Piazza catch Schilling. It's a test, isn't it, to be thrown out there in front of the world and say, here, go catch this guy who's got electric stuff and make it look good while you do it.
It's not like catching a knuckleball pitcher like Rich Gedman had to do when Charlie Huff pitched in 1986 in Houston when the All-Star game was played. But it's very difficult on pitches like this, balls in the dirt. You can see how Piazza is battling that splitter. Sometimes it's a lot easier to face a pitcher like Schilling than it is to catch him.
So 1 ball, 2 strikes with Ramirez at first and 1 out. No score here in the second. And to the first baseman, Helton, only 1 play, 2 out. So Posada's taken care of, and Torii Hunter ought to get a big round of applause when he is introduced after that catch out in center field. By the way, Hunter is part of a Minnesota team that carries a 7.5 game lead. There's more for your contraction into the All-Star break.
Just off the top of my head, I can't think of a player winning an MVP award in an All-Star game for a defensive play. But it's easy that Hunter is the first inning MVP.
Partial results. Torii Hunter right now unofficially is leading Tim McCarver's MVP award for the evening.
Well, I got some help from the truck. Truck tells me that, well, the truck didn't tell me, but the guys in the truck told me that in 1979, Dave Parker in Minnesota with 2 great throws home won the MVP award. Specifically, I said Minnesota, was in Seattle, but specifically because of his defense.
So with a runner at second and 2 out, no balls, 2 strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Schilling is not leaving much for a 3rd inning because he knows he isn't going back out there. He's got his manager in the dugout, Bob Brenly, pulling the strings, and Schilling is going to let it all hang out here in the 2nd inning, trying to get out of it and keep it scoreless, dominated by strikes. And a little squirter to the second baseman. That's Vidro, and that's the end of an inning and a half. A hit, a man left. We go to the bottom of the 2nd in Milwaukee. National League coming up, no score. Lead it off, but right now down to the dugout, and Steve Lyons. Steve.
Hi, Joe. With Curt Schilling, and Curt, you made quick work of that American League team in the first 2 innings, like you had somewhere to go. Yeah, you get out of this game. That lineup, I mean, you get 3 out of 3 on the first, like, all right, you know, one more guy, and you look up in there, and it's Giambi, Ramirez, you know, and a whole slew of guys. So that was fun.
Now let's talk about that first. You got 2 quick outs, then you got a new ball, and you went and you said something to A-Rod. What were you talking about?
I told him yesterday, if we had 2 outs and nobody on, it would be my best. I'd give him nothing but fastballs. I was going to give him my best, but they was getting nothing but fastballs. And it took me about 5 minutes to convince him I wasn't lying. He thought I was trying to trick him. So when I went up there and got the ball, I said, hey, my best, your best. And it was my best. That was everything I have.
Saying strike 3 and sit down.
Well, yeah, for now.
All right, man, good luck. Have a good time. All right, guys, let's go back to you.
A look at that at bat back in the first inning. Schilling is through 2 scoreless, and he's finished for the night. Now a leadoff hit by Sosa, 1 on, nobody out for Vladimir Guerrero, who takes a ball low and away. Do you think Bob Brenly can hear us down in that dugout?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, guys.
We miss you up here, buddy.
Hey, you just saw something that rarely happens. Vladimir Guerrero took a pitch.
Hey, Shecky Green.
We took 2 pitches.
Oh my gosh, 2 balls, no strikes. You having any fun down there?
Oh, it's been great, Joe. I'll tell you, these guys are all so fired up to be here, and it's just been a hoot.
Now he's swinging, and he bounces a base hit into left. And Bob Brenly's National League All-Stars, as Sosa's going to test the left fielder and called out. Ramirez throwing to Hillenbrand, and Sammy Sosa tried to do a little too much and made the first out at third base here in the second inning.
Trying to take the extra base on a guy who's only played 32 games in the outfield this year. Manny Ramirez, who hurriedly throws to third to get Sosa. That is not a good base running play by Sammy Sosa. Great hitter, great power, poor base running right here.
What's going on down there, Brenly? Can't you control these guys?
We had base running drills this morning.
Now a balk has been called, so your National League All-Stars now have Vladimir Guerrero at third and only 1 out, and an easier RBI chance for Piazza. Here's a balk by Derek Lowe.
Yeah, right there, reaching in and then reaching out while he was still on the rubber.
Piazza takes ball 1.
You know, if we had signs, I'd put a squeeze on right now.
Yeah, they'd run you out of here. Piazza, who during the regular season has driven in 56, hitting .285, well below his career average, takes ball 2. Bob, you used to do this for a living. If you want to jump in, just hop in and say whatever you want. Okay?
I'll try.
Okay. Runner at third, 1 out here in the second, and it's 3-0 with Scott Rowland waiting on deck.
You let him hit right here, Bob?
No take sign, obviously. No signs, period. I didn't want that.
Let's see your steal sign. Let's hear your don't run sign. 3 balls and a strike. The opposite way, and that will get a run home. Piazza knocks home the run. And the National League leads it 1-0 on an RBI ground out by Mike Piazza. You might want to close that mic for just a brief while as Scott Rowland digs in with 2 out, nobody on, and a run home. So there you go, Tim McCarver. There's National League Baseball at its best. Get him on, balk him over, get him in.
Balk him over after having 1 guy thrown out at third.
That's the way you draw it up.
Right.
Ball 1 down and into Scott Rowland, who's starting at third. His teammate Jimmy Rollins is starting at short. It's the first time the Phillies have accomplished that since '79 with a guy named Schmidt and Larry Boa. Scott Rowland's manager for now, but for how long? Most likely not through the end of this season. On the outside corner, and the count's 1-2. You see so many trades happen more when play resumes here on Wednesday. With the uncertain future with the collective bargaining agreement, are they going to strike? What's going to happen in the next couple of months? You see a lot of teams dumping a lot of salary. And there are players out there to be had as Rowland skies one into center, and that will end the bottom of the second. He caught the one over the wall. He's got to catch that. And that'll do it. A run for the National League. Knocked home by Piazza. After the out at third, then the balk, then the ground out, and it's 1-0 National League after 2. Back after this from your local Fox station. For the National League, Bob Brenly calls on Mike Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's their closer. 1-2 record, very good ERA, 25 saves on a team that is under 500, 38-49, and he will take on the American League, Alfonso Soriano, then a pinch hitter, and then back to the top of the order, Ichiro, with the National League up 1-0 after 2. So Mike Williams introduced himself to Mike Piazza before the start of the inning, and away we go. And Alfonso Soriano out in front. Joe Torre is down in the American League dugout. Joe, how good can Alfonso Soriano be?
You know, it's interesting. The mayor just asked me that same question. You think he's going to get better? There's no question. I don't know what the ceiling is here, Joe, but I know one thing: he has no fear. I mean, he's going to swing that bat, and he's got quick hands.
And he has swung that bat twice and come up empty. 0-2. He seems to be getting more and more comfortable with second base as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he, as I say, he has no fear. And the one thing about him at the plate also, Joe, is when he has, I don't know how many, you know, what's he going to do here, but he likes to adjust by hitting the ball the other way, too.
He's got a guy on deck, Jeter, who could teach him a thing or two about that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hey, Joe, I remember when you took over with the Yankees and number 9 wasn't available, for good reason, I might add. And so they gave you number 6, and you said you were going to make pitching changes by walking out to the mound on your hands. You remember that?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't seen that yet.
I said a lot of foolish things.
You've come a long way in those days as a Yankee manager, haven't you?
Get a little giddy. Winning will do that to you.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Soriano. 1 away. Tell me about Mayor Giuliani and how he fits into the Yankee scheme back home and what he means to you.
Well, Mayor Giuliani, I think, means a lot to everybody who's ever seen him work, and especially after 9/11. The courage he showed, the leadership he showed, and it didn't detract from the fact that he came out to the Yankee games knowing that, you know, he may not be safe no matter where he goes, but he has no fear either. He's quite a man, and you know, I thought it was a natural to invite him here, and he was gracious enough to accept.
One thing the audience should know, though, is that he had the option, Joe, of putting on a uniform,
right,
and he declined.
Yes, he did, but we have the uniform for him, and it's number 8, because that was, it still is his favorite, Yogi Berra.
Is he giving any signs?
He is giving signs, yeah. If he clasps his hands the other way,
it means a leadoff strikeout.
It means Jeter takes a pitch.
He did. It was a strike, and now he takes one outside. And
Jeter's paying attention. Excuse me, Joe. Joe, after those remarkable games in New York against the Diamondbacks last year, I don't think I've ever seen 3 World Series games as scintillating as those 3 were, and the comebacks the Yankees made.
You know, Tim, you've been in the middle of this thing so often. When everything's said and done, you know, you get caught up in the wins at Yankee Stadium, but everything's said and done, you try to analyze what happened. You realize that losing the World Series, sure, it's disappointing, but to win those 3 games in New York when New York needed a lift was really huge for us. But you're right. I don't remember any 2 consecutive games where that meant that much, were that exciting.
Well, Bob Brenly's in the other dugout. Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah, Joe.
Anything you want to say to Joe Torre on the heels of the last World Series? Anything left unsaid?
I don't think so, Joe. I think you guys pretty much covered it all. It was truly one of the greatest experiences of my life. I know it's probably getting old hat for Joe, but it was the best time I've ever had in a game of baseball.
You know what I think? They're going to change the rules. If they ever get the rules committee, I'd like to take a mulligan and be able to play the infield back, you know.
How'd our guy Brenly do matching wits with you in that last World Series?
Well, he's wearing the ring, isn't he? Bob is, I mean, catchers, I'm a little partial anyway. Catchers are pretty smart people. And and the whole thing. We get to talk to more people than anybody else because the hitters come up, and I know conversations that Mr. McCarvey used to have with all the hitters, and I think it helps the communication skills.
Have you been able to get together at all prior to this All-Star game and help guide him through what can be a harrowing experience trying to put these teams together?
Well, just have fun with it, and you certainly have to stay on your toes because he's used to it now in the National League. But making all these changes, and you know, the one thing you don't want to have happen is the pitcher have to hit in a certain situation, but it's tough to keep from happening, especially if you get in one of those long games.
Count's gone to 3-0 on Ichiro. Well, we asked Bob Brenly. I'll ask you, if Ichiro gets on, you got Hillenbrand coming up, an obvious running situation. What's your run sign?
They're on their own. I told them, I said, even when I gave the run sign to Edgar Martinez and it took him about a day and a half to get the second, I still let him run anyway.
Vidro takes one away. Tremendous play by Vidro after we saw a great one out of Hunter back in the second. What a play by Vidro to end the inning. Well, he wanted a mulligan. He can't get it. The infield's in, and there it goes. Diamondbacks world champions. We're through 2.5, 1-0. National League here in Milwaukee. Saturday baseball. Scott Rowland and the Phillies visit the Big Apple to take on Mike Piazza. The Mets of the Reds battle the Astros. Luis Gonzalez and the Diamondbacks battle Sean Green and the Dodgers in a showdown for NL West supremacy. It all begins with This Week in Baseball. This week at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific right here on Fox. New pitcher for the American League, Roy Halladay, representing the Toronto Blue Jays. Second pitcher of the night for the AL, and first pitch swinging. Rollins gets one past Soriano. I'm going to call it a base hit. I may be overruled by the official score. That was a tough play, and Luis Gonzalez will be the pinch hitter coming up to bat for Mike Williams.
Not overruled by me, Joe, as far as I'm concerned. That's a base hit. The in-between hop, I think, is the reason that's a base hit. Short hop is a much easier play. That ball ate him up.
And really, there's nothing Soriano can do. He can't lay back.
Nope.
You've got to charge it and hope, and he didn't make the play. It is a base hit. So Rollins is on to start the inning. National League leading 1-0 in the bottom of the third. And here's Gonzalez, who got that World Series winning hit, Game 7, last November. Runner goes, and a foul outside first. Little hit and run action.
Well, Jimmy Rollins last year at Safeco Field in Seattle, you may remember, stole second base. I think Jimmy was running, and Luis Gonzalez was hacking. Gonzalez that hit last year, and Joe Torre kidding about the infield being in. If you relate that to golf.
That's a diving stop by Giambi, and they don't get the lead runner. Giambi content to go to the bag. He had a shot at Rollins, didn't take it, and a runner at second with one out.
We have seen the third good defensive play, and we are only in the third inning. Fine play by Giambi. He really had a play at second base, but not in throwing position, so he retreated to first. But on that base hit by Gonzalez, I think if you relate it to golf, you realize that chipping is as important as hitting a ball down the fairway 280 yards.
With one out, Vidro punches one foul down the left field line, and you can see by the way that ball just jumped and where it ended up that it doesn't take much to get it out of Miller Park. And there were some gargantuan home runs hit in the home run derby here last night. Sammy Sosa 520 plus feet on one of them. Runner at second, one out, and Vidro is well on his way to a career high in RBIs. He's knocked home 58. It's a 1-ball 1-strike count. Giambi was the winner of that competition, as we mentioned earlier. If Vidro can't do it, Todd Helton is in the on-deck circle. That's the opposite way. Ramirez going to get it. Play, 2 out. Well, we said it, so let's see it. Todd Helton playing in Tennessee in '93 and '94. He started several games at quarterback in the '94 season. That season, Peyton Manning was a freshman. And there's one of his touchdown throws, now swinging a bat for a living and making a good living for the Colorado Rockies. National League already leads, and Helton trying to add to it. He will, as he knocks home Rollins with a base hit into center. A-Rod got a glove on it, couldn't keep it on the infield, and Helton has knocked home the second run of the night.
Major League infielders are trained with 2 out and a runner on at second base to play a little deeper than they would normally play and at least try to knock the ball down. Rodriguez tries that off the end of the glove, and the National League adds to their lead. Once it's by Rodriguez, Rollins scores easily.
And that hit also extends the inning for Barry Bonds. Robbed of a home run his first time, he takes ball 1. Hit a fly ball into center field, and Torrey Hunter, the reigning Gold Glove Award winner in the American League, playing center field, went up and brought it back. 2-0. Four-time MVP is Barry Bonds, with Sammy Sosa waiting on deck. And Bonds may break a 61-year-old record once held by Ted Williams if he keeps up his pace with his on-base percentage. 562. A big reason why. The 109 walks he's already accumulated in the first half. He'll easily shatter his own walk record this season. He should. Bonds swinging on 3-0. Goes deep into right. Nobody's bringing that back. 4-0 National League. Bonds didn't do much in the home run derby, but here he's come close once and now hit a line drive into right to make it 4-0 and a kiss for his son.
Barry Bonds has his own individual home run derby, and he hit that home run against a pitcher who has allowed the fewest home runs in the major league since the beginning of last year. Ray Halladay.
So with 2 out, nobody on, Halladay misses inside with ball 1.
Goodness.
Watch out, Sammy Sosa. He glares out at Roy Halladay. Sammy didn't like that in the 73rd Midsummer Classic. 2-0. He was going to swing no matter where that pitch was delivered. It's 2-1.
That pitch could have been 4 feet outside. As it was, only about 8 inches.
That's an old Sammy Sosa swing. That's something that he has cut back on every year. The reason why he has been traded twice in his career from Texas to the White Sox, and then across town from the White Sox to the Cubs. And every year he's been getting better at laying off those pitches. They used to fool him in the past. Loaded, full count, 3-2. See that swing and the connection by Bonds would obviously have already honored Ted Williams. But everybody talked about the hips of Ted Williams, getting him out of the way, opening him up, getting through the zone, and Bonds very similar to that, although much bigger. Williams, those great hips, and Bonds can't hit that many home runs if you don't get out of the way.
I don't think anybody stays behind the ball any better than Barry Bonds. As you said, Joe, clearing those hips right there. He is so quick.
That was the old Sammy Sosa in that at bat. Halladay knocked him off the plate, then struck him out. But the National League comes up with 3, capped on that by number 4 on the all-time list. 4-0 National League. question. Robin Ventura and Benito Santiago are appearing tonight after a 10-year absence from the All-Star game. Our RadioShack.com All-Star trivia question: who played the most seasons between All-Star selections? This is one of those, Tim, that you may know. And again, this is one of those, Tim, that you may not. New pitcher is Odalis Perez. Third of the night for the National League, takes over for Mike Williams, and misses outside with ball one. Here are the changes. Get out your pencils and your erasers. Richie Sexson is at first base. Junior Spivey takes over at second base for Jose Vidro. There are more. Lance Berkman, the man who leads the world in home runs and RBIs, is in left. Sean Green is in right. And then there's Perez, who was basically a throw-in in the deal between the Dodgers and the Braves. Gary Sheffield went to Atlanta, and Brian Jordan went to LA. Count goes to 2-1.
At rejuvenated Los Angeles Dodger lineup and ball club, who is 2.5 ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League West. They play a big weekend series this weekend in Los Angeles.
That is launched into left field off the bat of Hillenbrand and back to the track, to the wall, and caught for the first out. A loud out. Let's go down to Steve Lyons with Barry Bonds.
All right, Joe. Barry, first things first, let's talk about the first ball that you hit out of the park, but you didn't get anything out of it. Torrey Hunter had said one guy that he'd love to rob a home run ball would be you, and he did it.
Well, you know, dreams do come true. That was a great play. And I never faced Lowe before. I've watched him on TV a lot. You know, he's got a good sinker ball. He throws a good changeup, and you know, he threw a little cutter in on me. And I got out there in the first one a little too soon. I said, you know, stay patient. I got the second one, and I thought I got it, but Torrey made a great play.
The second time around, you take a 3-0 pitch, you take that one out of here, and no one was bringing that one back.
No, you know, I faced him before, so it was really good. You know, we played the Interleague, and we had the opportunity to play Toronto, so I was familiar with him, seen him pitch before, so I had a little bit of an advantage.
I know you haven't been feeling good. Your plane was late getting in here. You've had a lot of things to do while you're at the All-Star game. Nice to be able to get out and just sit around and enjoy the rest of this one.
Yeah, this is great. This is fun. You know, what they did here today for the memorable moments and stuff is phenomenal. You know, Milwaukee's, you know, it's a great city. The fans turned out, and, you know, we're proud to be here.
And we're proud to have you around. And that was a great play out there. All right, guys, let's go back to you.
All right, Steve, thanks. And thanks to Barry Bonds, and congratulations to Barry Bonds as Alex Rodriguez strikes out. You are looking right now at the XXX cam up above Miller Park here in Milwaukee. Vin Diesel is a new breed of secret agent in XXX, opening everywhere in theaters August 9th. And there's a shot of Miller Park down below. Beautiful night here in Milwaukee. The temperature way down from yesterday. I'm guessing what, Tim? Help me out. Low 70s?
Oh, yeah. Very, very comfortable. Yesterday, mid-90s, hot, sticky. The rains came through, as you mentioned earlier, and it is delightful tonight.
Here's Giambi with 2 out, nobody on. Rodriguez struck out. Odalis Perez, one of the many pitchers who's gone through that ligament transplant surgery, the Tommy John surgery. He's come back throwing harder. That had a wrinkle on it. The count evens 1 ball, 1 strike. Giambi struck out his first time. It was probably the last at bat for Alex Rodriguez, with 21 shortstops on the roster for the American League. This will probably be it for Giambi as he singles into center field with 2 out. So Giambi is on, and Manny Ramirez will get a chance to hit.
Perez trying to sneak the fastball by Giambi unsuccessfully. You mentioned the 5 shortstops that the American League is carrying. Other than the outfield positions and, of course, pitchers, it's the most carried by a position in All-Star game history. 5 shortstops in the game tonight.
Alex Rodriguez, one of the 5. You remember the discussion and the argument used to be, all right, who would you take? Would you take A-Rod? Would you take Jeter? Or would you take Garciaparra? Now you can add Tejada, and Vizquel's always been there with his glove. But the conversation and the discussion and the arguments always centered around those first 3. What you can see by those numbers, and injury had a lot to do with it with Garciaparra, is Alex Rodriguez has separated himself from the other two as that one gets away from Piazza. Former Dodger can't catch the current Dodger, and down to second is Giambi on what could very well be a pass ball.
Thanks, Doc. I didn't hear Kurt. Kurt gave me
That ball did not hit the ground. Breaking ball. You're right, Alex Rodriguez, and it will be a pass ball on Mike Piazza. But Alex Rodriguez has separated himself from a talent standpoint. But Derek Jeter, from what he has done in postseason play and for what he has given the New York Yankees, has separated himself as far as a postseason money player. That play last year in Oakland, I don't think anybody will ever forget it.
A runner at second with 2 out, and a 1-0 pitch coming to Manny Ramirez. American League not on the board. They're down 4-0. You see a Yankee at second base. The Boston Red Sox best at the plate. The recent acquisitions by the Yankees, first Raul Mondesi and then last Friday Jeff Weaver, certainly makes the Yankees a better team. There's no doubt about that. And Weaver is one of the best young pitchers who's locked up in a long-term deal.
Take care of him for him, Dad.
It certainly makes the Yankees better, but it could also have another effect, which is to galvanize these owners who say, there go the Yankees again, and George Steinbrenner's up to it again. We can't compete. As Ramirez dumps one into right field, that ball's going to get down and put the American League on the board. In to score is Giambi, and holding it first is Manny Ramirez.
Yes, Michael.
But George Steinbrenner's always in the middle of it. And the Yankees, I saw more reactions. We were in St. Louis last weekend, Dodgers, Cardinals, guys scratching their head going, how do these GMs and clubs keep dumping players like they're dumping into the laps of the Yankees? And I think, you know, Bud Selig could have stepped in and blocked the Mondesi deal because it involved a transaction of over $1 million cash. But
about
he
6 punch outs later.
Because of 2 reasons. A, it could help his case with the competitive imbalance. And on the other side, he doesn't step in the way of George Steinbrenner as Bud Selig tries to build a consensus. He can still count on George Steinbrenner as an ally. With a runner at first, 2 out, no balls and a strike, and Posada now in the hole 0-2.
There's the trade right there. Raul Mondesi from Toronto to the Yankees for Scott Wiggins, and then Jeff Weaver, who had 1 start for the Yankees on Sunday. I don't know how Bud Selig, as the commissioner of baseball, can block a trade when in essence he's responsible for the trades of the Montreal Expos.
Well, that's a whole other mess.
That is a mess.
Because in the end, Major League Baseball benefits because the Montreal Expos' value as a team has shot up.
Right.
With the addition of Bartolo Colon.
And the possible addition of Cliff Floyd of the Florida Marlins. That has been talked about.
Posada stays at the plate, a ball and 2 strikes. But who benefits from that? Major League Baseball, because they run the Expos. That being said, I'm tickled to see Omar Minaya get a chance to be a general manager and do the job that he's doing, running the Montreal Expos in an odd situation. And it's not like the Expos are on the verge of anything. What they're hoping for is to hang in the wild card race. And they're on the edge of that. As Posada strikes out, the inning comes to a close. And that'll do it, but the American League is on the board. A hit, a pass ball, and an RBI single by Manny Ramirez. 4-1 National League after 3.5. Burley representing the Chicago White Sox, and he misses with ball 1 to Vladimir Guerrero. Paul Konerko takes over at first base, also with the White Sox. So Giambi is finished, and Robin Ventura, now with the New York Yankees, is over at third. Other changes, Garrett Anderson of the Angels is in left field. And over in right, Randy Wynn takes over for Ichiro. Guerrero spun out of there by Burley, the pride of St. Charles, Missouri. A 12-game winner. Guerrero checks his swing. And the count 3-1. Only player in Expos history to have 30+ home runs and do it at the pace that he has done it. How many general managers, Tim, were just salivating and lining up, hoping that if the Expos got contracted, Guerrero would end in their lap? That's on the outside corner, and Burley comes back to strike out Guerrero, 1 away. And let's go down to Kevin Kennedy, who's standing by with Jason Giambi.
Thanks, Joe. Jason, the Yankees are the team that can spend all the money, and of course it goes right to you last winter, signing with New York. The Yankees recently traded for Mondesi and Jeff Weaver, and everybody says this is what's wrong with Major League Baseball. How do you respond to that?
I respond, the boss wants to win, and that's all that's important to him. Actually, you know, the things we ended up with Mondi because nobody wanted him. They had called over and nobody wanted to get him, so we ended up getting him. And then on top of that, we had a few trades with the A's to get Ted Lilly, and we ended up getting Weaver. But, you know, bottom line is the boss loves to win.
You know, I have to bring this up because it is of issue, the labor talks. How are we going to get this thing settled, Jason, and with the big market, small market, big revenue, small revenue teams? And we're here in a small revenue market right now in Milwaukee. How are we going to get this thing done?
Well, it's got to jam everybody up in that room and sit them down and hopefully get to come some type of agreement. I mean, there's an agreement to be reached, and I think everybody's going to be happy, but they got to sit down and talk.
Okay, thanks, Jason. 1 for 2 tonight, base hit. Okay. All right, Joe, back upstairs.
Thanks, Kevin. I think we could all only hope that they would jam everybody into a big room and get it straightened out. And it's kind of a wake me up when it's over and let me know how it all shook out, but that isn't reality. No balls, 2 strikes on Piazza, and a jam shot into right, easy for Wynn. 2 out. We heard from Jason Giambi with Kevin Kennedy. Here's what Giambi had to say to Richie Sexson when he got to first base last inning.
It's like, huh? That's nerve-wracking, isn't it? Oh, you pull that cage away. It's tough. It seems like, and the ball feels like 1,000,000 miles an hour compared to everything else.
Here's Scott Rowland as he takes a pitch down and in. One ball, 1 strike.
I think Giambi was talking about when he said pull that cage away. He was talking about what happened before last night's All-Star game. Richie Sexson and Jason Giambi, both in the All-Star game representing their leagues. Giambi, as Joe said earlier, won it. But the cage they were talking about was a batting cage, I assume.
Home run derby, said the pitcher looks like he's 1,000,000 miles away, and that's a flare caught by Soriano. And this game heads into the 5th inning. Giambi finished for the rest of the night. We'll see more All-Stars, new players when we come back. 5th inning. It's 4-1 National League. Welcome back to Milwaukee. Our RadioShack.com trivia question. Robin Ventura and Benito Santiago are appearing tonight after a 10-year absence from the All-Star game. Our RadioShack.com All-Star trivia question. Who played the most seasons between All-Star selections? The answer, Bert Blyleven. Appeared in 1973, then again in 1985. Here's a perennial All-Star in the booth next to us, Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker.
Joe, how are you? Nice to see you, Tim.
How you doing, Uecker?
Great to be here with you guys.
You didn't know there was a game here tonight, right?
No, you know, I'm driving on the freeway. I was coming back from fishing. I'm saying, what's the lights on at Miller Park for? We're supposed to be off, you know? And then I see all the cars out here. There's a crowd in there. I just stopped in, pick up some stuff in the clubhouse. I see all the National League guys here, and I'm Joe Torre. I see Frank down in, you know, what's he doing here? You know?
He's wherever Joe goes.
Yeah, you know.
Did you know that back then?
I'm figuring the Yankees are in Chicago, you know, because they're coming up here for entertainment. There's Frank Torre right there. Boy.
There's your guy.
Well, they should have replaced a lot of other things on Frank.
Oh, man.
I love Frank. I saw him downstairs earlier tonight. He's a beauty. He's a former teammate.
Pop up on the infield off the bat of Torrey Hunter and into the glove of Rollins. We're going to lose McCarver here for a minute because every time you show up, he starts cackling and he can't
kills
say
me.
anything.
I'm sorry.
If it wasn't for Frank and Joe Torre, I could have been a decent player. I roomed with both those guys.
You did?
Terrible. Yeah.
You room with me too.
I roomed with Timmy too, but you were decent, you know. At least you let me in the room.
You guys used to run around after games.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah. Unfortunately, I always had my uniform on. Tim was always in civvies. I just wanted everybody to know I was a player.
And you were married back then?
Not to Tim. We went through this. I went through this with your dad.
Why do you think I'm doing it?
I loved it very much. Your dad Your dad was here one day. Tim and your dad were doing a game, Joe, and I did. I loved your dad, and I came over here to sit with Tim and Jack, and we're talking about the Cardinals and all the good times we had and everything else. And
here's a shot into left center by Soriano. Goodbye. 20 already during the regular season, and he has made this a 2-run game.
Ooh, man.
There aren't many players who have come along lately like Alfonso Soriano.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, that guy's so...
20 home runs in the first half. He leads Major League Baseball in total bases, and he's a good guy on top of it all. And he just launches one here in the 5th inning against Eric Gagne, who has been almost perfect out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. He's the 4th pitcher of the night for the National League.
Anyway, your dad was talking about the season in 1964 when we won the World Championship, and he said, now you and Tim were married then, weren't you? I said, no, we weren't married. We were just good friends. Don't start stuff like that. That's how stuff starts.
There's
strike to get out of the booth.
There's strike one on Garrett Anderson, who's batting in the number 9 spot. You grew up as a Milwaukee kid.
Yes, I did.
You watched the Brewers of the American Association, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Orchard Field?
Orchard Field, you bet.
And now you get a chance to play here, and you get a chance to broadcast here. That's how you become Mr. Milwaukee.
I don't know about that. I was the first native Milwaukeean to be signed by the Braves, which I thought was pretty neat. And then I was the first native Milwaukee to be sent to the minor leagues by the Braves, too. So that was pretty unique, too.
Let's clear this up, Tim McCarver. You were a catcher. Bob Uecker was a catcher. He makes fun of his career. How good of a catcher was Bob Uecker?
If I could catch and throw like you, I wouldn't still be playing, but I'd have been a better player, I'll tell you that.
It was the arm, right?
It was. The greatest thing about Uecker was the 1964 World Series when you shagged flies before Game 1 with the tuba.
It cost me $250. I didn't catch them all. Some hit the rim.
Sent you the bill.
Yeah, he did. I caught a couple went down the hole, and then about 6 or 7 hit the rim and damaged that thing pretty badly. I went and put it back down on the field, and the guy saw it. I took it out of my check, $250.
And what occasion?
So that meant I owed the Cardinals 70.
Were there frequently tubas just laying out on the field?
No, they did it during the World Series, Joe. They had 3 Dixieland bands playing on the field, and I went over and picked one up.
This is Randy Wynn, and he slices one down the left field line, extra bases for the Tampa Bay Devil Ray. Wynn, who's put together a very good first half. No kidding, Joe. He's an all-star, but he is a representative for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and he's at second. All of a sudden, the tying run's coming to the plate. Robin Ventura after this double by Wynn.
I heard you and Tim talking earlier about George Steinbrenner and the things that are happening in New York. I was down at the Yankee clubhouse, or I should say down with Joe Torre in the American League clubhouse, and I told Joe, I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I just heard that George Steinbrenner bought Fenway Park so the Yankees would have another home place to play and then cut down on some of the road trips. Like on days off, they could let the Red Sox play.
Joe's listening to us right now, huh, Joe? Is that true?
Is it true? I'm not sure. I mean, I've been away for 24 hours. Anything's liable to happen.
Hi, Joe.
What do you say there, Sarge?
Joe is a roommate. Man, what a great guy. Beautiful.
Messy guy, Joe Torre?
I don't know. He wasn't in very often, so it was easy to room with him.
Joe didn't like when I brought my car in the apartment.
As soon as he came over to Atlanta to catch Phil Niekro, I broke my ankle, and he had a catch, and that
every day.
That got him on Mr. Belvedere.
Oh man, I went from like a 7 1/4 hat size to a 5 3/8 in 2 weeks, playing every day because Joe couldn't play because he had a broken leg. I mean, come on. What's a cast?
Did you hear Joe Torre drop a Mr. Belvedere on you?
Yeah, I heard him.
Huh? 73rd All-Star game, and he can't let Mr. Belvedere go.
Still in syndication, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Good being with you guys.
All right, you.
I love you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Belvedere, Mr.
Thanks,
Baseball, Mr. Milwaukee, bottom of the 5th. What's the score? It's 4-2 National League. We're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are into the bottom of the 5th inning of the 73rd Midsummer Classic. Jimmy Rollins is leading it off for the National League. Rollins, then Damian Miller, who took over the last half inning, batting in the number 9 spot, and Junior Spivey of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Second inning of work for Burley, and Rollins greets him here in the 5th with a base hit. Now it's time to take a look at our Pepsi fan cam. Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated.
Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hello, Levine. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Carmine. How's that?
Pretty good.
All right.
Not bad at all.
One on, nobody out. And Damian Miller. Yes, that's Damian Miller, the catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And how can you blame Bob Brenly? Bring his catcher along with him to the All-Star game
instead of Paul LaDuca of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Always have to bring up the controversy. LaDuca, and you got to bring him up. But LaDuca, you could make a strong case for him being here as well.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Paul LaDuca, one of the fine catchers in Major League Baseball for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Terrific hitter.
Some defensive changes for the American League as Miller hits one into left center field. Well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. Rollins will scoot over to third. They will bring him to the plate. The throw by Tejada, not in time. And it's 5-2 National League on a double by Damian Miller. Rollins can absolutely fly.
He stopped 3/4 of the way to second base, was going back to first base, and waved on by Frank Robinson, the third base coach. Damian Miller and Miller Park, a double to left center field. But because this ball went so far, watch Jimmy Rollins. He has to wait. And he turns on the burner right there and scores rather handily. The throw off line. And the National League tacks on.
So Damian Miller, in his first at bat in the All-Star game, doubles into left center field to make it a 5-2 National League lead. And Burley hits the inside corner with a strike. Still nobody out. And here is Junior Spivey, one of the biggest surprises in the National League. Bob Brenly's been watching him every day. Hit over 300 for the Diamondbacks. So he is here as an All-Star. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bob Brenly, how can you bring all these guys with you? Have you no shame?
They're all good players, Joe. That's why.
I know.
Especially this guy right here. He's having a heck of a year.
Runner at second, nobody out. Spivey is jammed. He's got to be a big surprise though for you. You didn't expect this.
Well, I'm not quite sure we knew what to expect from him. You know, he came up last year for about a month and really lit it up. But as Timmy will tell you, you start whacking that fastball around and suddenly everything's spinning your way. And he had some trouble adjusting to the breaking ball. He worked hard on it this winter, and he's a new man this year, laying off those tough pitches.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Damian Miller at second, and Spivey fights off another.
Bob, you telling us before the game that Craig Counsell may be your most valuable player this year in the first half.
Yeah, he really has been, Timmy. I mean, he's a guy that has played third base most of the time with the injury to Matt Williams, but he's played some short. He's played some second, driving in big runs for us. He's among the league leaders in hitting with runners in scoring position. He has really kind of been the glue that's held our team together.
Matt Williams will be back this weekend, Bob?
That's what we're anticipating right now, Tim. He's on a rehab assignment right now, and everything's been going real good. Matty feels great physically and getting some at-bats down in the minor leagues, and we expect to have him back very shortly.
Did you expect the Dodgers were going to be that good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't think there was any question they would. I think Eric Gagne has been a little bit of a surprise going from a starter to a closer and making that conversion as quickly as he did. But they got a great ball club, and Jim Tracy does a nice job of that.
Spivey drives one down the left field side. It's foul, and you can see why Bob Brenly likes Junior Spivey with the kind of at-bat he's had here against Mark Burley. The Dodgers are playing the way they're playing, and they're about to get Dreifert back, who we understand is throwing the heck out of the ball. And after he can stabilize his back, they hope to get Kevin Brown back. But there have been a lot of things happen to Kevin Brown the last couple of years. Spivey strikes out after a pretty good effort against Burley. That's the first out of the inning. Runner at second, 1 away.
Good breaking ball. from Burley. By the way, we will be there on Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, to carry that Dodger Diamondback game this Saturday.
Vin Diesel is a new breed of secret agent in this summer's high-octane action-packed major motion picture XXX in theaters everywhere August 9th. And they help us with our aerial coverage. Looks like they kind of took that logo from the that football league, the XFL. It lives on. He hate me. It lives on. Runner at second, 1 out. After a strikeout of Spivey. And this is Lance Berkman. Raise your hand out there if you've ever heard of Lance Berkman and you don't live in Texas. Well, you should have. He's a switch hitting center fielder who has hit 29 home runs. That leads the world. 81 RBIs already. And he is just getting his feet fully wet at the big league level. He is a tremendous talent. Runner at second, 1 out. And that's going to hop out of play, 1-2. A guy could get spoiled managing a team like this, Bob Brentley.
Tell me, go ahead and spoil me. This is great.
You know you're winning 5-2.
Well, are you trying to put the whammy on us now?
Hey, I'm just saying. You're matched up against Joe Torre again, and you're winning 5-2.
Well, we got a lot of ball game left and all those other cliches.
Okay. One pitch at a time. Trying to help the club any way he can as Berkman hits it off the end of the bat. That's Omar Vizquel, one of the 3 defensive changes. If you wondered who would take over, we're going to get Richie Sexson, the hometown hero, to walk in here. Vizquel, one of the 5 shortstops, is in at second base taking over for Soriano. Tejada's in at short and Johnny Damon is in at center, so the defense for the American League is new up the middle. A nice hand from this Milwaukee crowd for Richie Sexson, who's hit 19 home runs, driven in 62, and has a .282 average in the first half. Runner at third, 2 out. Ball 1 from Burley. How tall is this guy, Tim?
6'7". About 6'7.5". As tall as Frank Howard is and was.
That's a play by Ventura. Takes care of Sexson. And the inning comes to a close. Damian Miller. That's why Bob Brentley picked him. Adds to the National League lead. It's 5-2 after 5 in Milwaukee. Here is tonight's game summary brought to you by Subway. Barry Bonds, a 2-run home run. Second career All-Star home run. That came back in a 3-run third inning. Curt Schilling was strong at the start. Jimmy Rollins 2 for 2. Now he's out of there. And Alfonso Soriano hit a solo home run for the American League in the 5th. We're in the 6th inning now, and Miguel Tejada is at the plate first at bat. Jose Hernandez of the hometown Milwaukee Brewers is in at short. The new pitcher is Trevor Hoffman. 20 saves on a struggling team. And his specialty pitch, his out pitch, which you don't normally associate with closers, is a changeup. His fastball is not overpowering unless combined with that good changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Missed inside, 2-1.
Trevor is similar to Eric Gagne, who worked a couple of innings ago, and that both in Southern California are succeeding with that straight change and have for years. There's Eric.
4th time as an All-Star for Trevor Hoffman, and the count evens 2 balls, 2 strikes. One stretch, Hoffman converted 27 consecutive saves. He's baseball's all-time leader in save percentage. He has had a tremendous career in San Diego.
Not bad for a guy who started out as a shortstop. His brother, the third base coach of the Dodgers.
Down and in, full count after Tejada. It's Konerko. And then the pitcher spot. So, as is the norm, there is action in both bullpens. Zito getting loose for the AL. And his teammate Tejada pops it up into right. That's Sean Green. First time we mentioned Green, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. What a night he had here in Milwaukee. Actually, afternoon, 19 total bases. And one of 2 guys to hit 4 home runs in 1 game this season. Green has led the Dodgers to the top of the NL West. Here's Paul Konerko.
It's a good segue by you, partner, because Sean Green has been about as hot as Paul Konerko, the White Sox, has been.
And Konerko, a former Dodger farmhand, all you heard about the Dodgers. Wait till you see Konerko. This guy can hit. He can do everything, and he's played first and third. Wait till you see him. And then shortly after we saw him, he was traded to Cincinnati. And then they traded him to the White Sox for Mike Cameron. And then Cincinnati turned Cameron around and traded him eventually to Seattle as a big piece of the puzzle, getting Ken Griffey Jr.
In baseball, it used to be that the Dodgers would build up a minor league prospect to the point where other teams would salivate, and then they would get that prospect, and he wouldn't be as good as they thought he was. Well, Konerko is.
That's into right center field and will not be caught. One hop over the wall for a double. We came in talking about how pitching has dominated these all-star games lately, and it has not done that at all. A total of 7 runs and 13 hits already.
Barry Bonds with 1 home run, robbed of another home run by Torrey Hunter, and that ball by Konerko smoked to right center.
A.J. Pierzynski of the Twins is going to pinch hit. He bats for Burley, who went 2 innings. He allowed 1 run on 2 hits, struck out 2, walked none. Again, Zito is the one warming up for the AL as Pierzynski takes a strike over the outside corner. It's Barry Zito getting loose. Obviously, Tim, A.J. Pierzynski is doing something right in Minnesota, guiding that pitching staff toward the top of the AL Central. And they enjoy a big lead over the Chicago White Sox, 7.5 games here at the All-Star break.
That's with a lot of pitchers that they did not expect would be pitching for them this year.
Reaching for it, and that's easy for Sexton. 2 out. Take a look at the first half. The good and the bad. The good, small market success. Minnesota, Montreal second in the NL East and hoping to hang in the wild card chase. Anaheim brilliantly led by Mike Scioscia. Cincinnati hanging in there, 2 games behind the Cardinals. And then some disappointments. Cubs, and that's already cost Don Baylor his job. The New York Mets, that big payroll, 4th in the NL East. Runner at third, 2 out. Ball 1 to Jorge Posada. The Mets finished the quote-unquote first half under 500, 12.5 games out behind Atlanta. Fastball from Hoffman, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a Met fan. Last year it was Bobby Valentine in the National League dugout as the manager after winning the NL pennant and losing to the Yankees in the Subway Series in 2000. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Posada.
There is another Bobby to the south of Bobby Valentine, and that's Bobby Cox. The Atlanta Braves could be on their way to winning their 11th consecutive Eastern Division. They have the best record in baseball as we speak, and there's one of the big reasons for it. Tommy Glavine.
There's that changeup from Hoffman. He gets the strikeout, pitches a scoreless 6th inning. Bottom half, National League bats with Sean Green set to lead it off. 5-2 National League. And we get into the bottom of the 6th inning. Here is Barry Zito. He may be around for only 1 batter, maybe 2. He gets to face a left-hander here, Sean Green, and it's fair to say that Barry's a little out there.
He is a free thinker,
okay,
and a free spirit. He certainly is.
Calms himself with yoga, incense, carries stuffed animals into special pillows on the road. But he's good.
Real good.
He's got a great curveball. He's got a pretty good fastball. And he has been on quite a roll since last All-Star break as he misses with ball 2, 2-0.
Joe, there's a great article about Barry in the June Esquire as Eddie Guardado warms.
2 balls, no strikes, and that's the opposite way for Tejada. Across the infield, 1 away. Sean Green retired, and here's Barry Zito doing his thing.
In terrific condition. Joe Torre's coming out, but that article written by Chris Jones in Esquire said that Zito's curveball broke like a broken, or it drops like a broken heart.
Barry can go into the clubhouse, cue the music, and start to stretch. Feel at peace, Barry. You faced one, you retired him. Guardado leads the American League with 26 saves. This is his first career All-Star appearance, but he has been working hard over the years to try and get here. One of the most active pitchers in all of baseball out of any bullpen. Finally, the closer's job is his, and he has been very successful. Here's Andruw Jones first at bat. And there's a strike on the outside corner. Andruw Jones, one of the players that was voted in on the internet. Johnny Damon got into the All-Star game that way for the American League.
They were the 30th players on each roster.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jones.
Eddie Guardado, by the way, appropriately named Everyday Eddie. He will toe the mound every day he's called on.
Some of the rules are obviously out the window in a game of this sort. As we talk to Joe Torre and Bob Brentley and have them talk to one another between dugouts. But even the uniform rules are relaxed, as Eddie Guardado is wearing white shoes. Foul tip, and the count stays 1-2. I remember as a kid watching when some of the Cardinals, like Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith, who's here tonight, would wear white shoes. It was like their big rebellious moment, and Guardado obviously took those from a local bowling alley.
the Oakland Athletics back in the early 70s with the white shoes, and Charlie Finley.
Andruw Jones strikes out, 2 down.
Little backup slider by Guardado to get Andruw Jones.
A guy who has become a very good player playing here in Milwaukee is Jose Hernandez. His first at bat gets a nice hand, 13 home runs, average better than 280, and more than that, he's turned himself into a very dependable defensive shortstop. I'm sure there are going to be some teams lined up to try and get him and add him to the stretch drive. Strike 1.
It is such an important position, one of the most important on defense, of course. Does all the things necessary defensively. But one problem, Jose strikes out a lot, 185 times last year, swinging through the first 2 pitches by Guardado.
So it's 0-2. We will stay here at the end of the 6th inning for a special time and some more ceremony here in this All-Star game in Milwaukee. Hernandez stays up there. Ralph Branca, Bobby Thompson, Don Larson, some of the names that will be honored here at the end of this inning. Still 0-2 as Guardado tries to pick up for Zito. This is a 5-2 game. That's the score. National League on top. The bottom of the 6th. It's 1-2. Time to relax in the dugout, watching as their new teammate Jose Hernandez stays up there.
One of the interesting things, Joe, about the All-Star game, you saw Lance Berkman, Sean Green. Outfielders are very friendly with one another in the clubhouse. I mean, keep in mind, you've been competing against these guys all season. The corners on the infield are very friendly with one another. However, pitchers, catchers, and the middle infielders, because of their proximity to battle and conflict, are a little bit standoffish.
Even in today's game.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yep.
Hernandez strikes out. Berzinski will chuck it down to first, and that'll do it for the first 6 innings here in the 73rd All-Star game. The National League on top 5-2 here in Milwaukee. Right now we join Voted, and Johnny Damon is here and leading it off in the 7th inning. First at bat, the National League on top 5-2 as we play in the 7th inning. Damon, then Vizquel, then Garrett Anderson for the American League, facing Mike Remlinger. Lance Berkman comes in from left to play first base. Sexton is finished. One of my favorite young players in the National League, Adam Dunn, is in left. Andruw Jones stays in the game. He's in center. There's a strike from Remlinger, a late add-on to the National League roster. 2 balls and a strike. Tim, we are in the presence of greatness yet again.
Got that right.
And we have taken a step up from you, at least broadcasting one. To the right side, and Damon's going to win that race as Remlinger comes up limping. As Bobby Cox is watching, can't like watching Remlinger limp after getting past first base. It's an infield hit for Johnny Damon. I'm only sticking up for Frank Torrey when I say that we've taken a step forward after Bob Uecker. What an honor it is to be joined by Mr. Ernie Harwell. Ernie, this is your last year in the broadcast booth as we understand it, and we wanted to give you the proper credit and send off those of us with Fox here at this All-Star.
Well, thank you very much. I'm flattered by that. I'm honored, and I'm very pleased. I'm happy to be here.
Listen to that voice, man. That's baseball. Not what I have. That's baseball. You were a writer,
right?
You were a songwriter, and you kind of have a lyrical style, don't you?
Well, I don't know what they call it, but I have written a few songs. I tell people I got more no-hitters than Nolan Ryan, but they're all in the song business.
They're checking on Mike Remlinger to make sure he's all right after limping, and Bob Brenly is the one in charge of making the decision. And we take a look at the replay.
I think what may have happened, Mike, when he finished his follow-through, he was going toward third base. He had to recover and hurriedly go to first base. He is late in covering and coming up lame, but he's going to stay in the game.
All right. I was told that you were once traded for by Branch Rickey.
That's true.
That's true. You were an announcer.
I was an announcer in Atlanta during the Atlanta Cracker games in the Southern League, and the great Red Barber came ill on a trip to Pittsburgh. Mr. Rickey called my boss, Earl Mann, and asked if I could come up and replace him. Earl Mann said, I've got him under contract, but if you want Ernie, send me your catcher, Cliff Down from Montreal. So I was traded for a minor league catcher.
You knew that story, Tim, right?
I certainly did. This catcher with a rocket to second base. Damian Miller could not have made a finer play. A great jump by Damon. And Ernie, you see them more than we do. Johnny Damon's given the Red Sox more speed this year.
He has picked them up. He sure has. He can lead off, hit number 2, and he plays a great outfield.
There's Sean Green going and getting it to his left. Damon will tag and try to advance and make it. Good play with 1 out. I want to let you do what you're comfortable doing if you want to do a little play-by-play, but I want to say this. In the wake of the passing of my father, and with you stepping aside and retiring, a part of, if not all of the old guard is starting to leave. I think of Vince Scully off the top of my head as guys who have been around for a long, long time. I realized by the reaction people had in St. Louis and beyond to the passing of my father, the opportunity that you have as a voice of a team and a city to make a difference. And Ernie, you have made a difference in Detroit, in New York, wherever you have been. But it is there, and I know you feel it, don't you?
Well, I think it's something that happens. A fella comes into a region and he's there 4 or 5 years, and whether he's good or bad, people get used to him. It's sort of like the old shoe, you know, and he becomes the conduit between the ball club and the public. And they take the announcer to the beaches and the picnics and up north to the cottage and all those places. It's quite a thing.
Runner at second, 1 out, and Garrett Anderson, actually runner at third, bounces out to second, and that'll put a run on the board and make it a 2-run game. An RBI ground out for Garrett Anderson, and he's been knocking in runs all season. All of a sudden it's a 2-run game, 5-3, and we go back to the top of the order. Unfortunately, I don't know if the new generation of broadcasters, and I certainly put myself in that category, have that opportunity that you guys had, especially with the medium of radio.
Well, I think it's tougher now because there's so many games and so many more announcers. It used to be you were the only game in town. But you're doing it. It'll be done. It'll be done.
You want to call this?
Yeah, this is Mr. Wynn at the bat now with 2 out. 5-3, National League in the lead. Ball 1. 7 hits on each side, no errors in the game, and a lot of changes. Pretty close, 2-0.
It's a broadcaster's delight, these all-star games.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Oh. I tell you, talk about scratching and moving around.
There you go. There's a look at the lineup card in the dugout.
There's a foul back on the screen. I did an all-star game in the Southern League with the old Atlanta Crackers, and a guy batted out of turn. How do you like that? You talk about mix-ups.
And nobody knew it. Probably.
Nobody knew it. It was so confusing anyway. Two out, nobody on. 5-3 National League. There's a wide one. 3-1 on Wynn. Not too many walks, not too many guys left on bases anyway. And he works himself a walk. Well, that's my play-by-play, guys.
That's all you're giving us? you jumped to action there. Did you see that?
Immediately.
Immediately. He knows what to do. The man knows what to do. Well, I got a chance to work with you early on the radio side, and what a thrill it's been. And it's an honor to have you in this booth. Don't leave yet, though. We're in the top of the 7th inning, and the inning's still going. This is Batista. Are you ducking out? Or are you going to keep going? I'd rather listen to you than me.
All right, we'll say Batista's at the bat now with 1 on and 2 out. Looks like we're going to have a little trip to the mound, guys.
Our former partner, Bob Brenly, will go take the ball.
Make the old change. That's what we need, another pitcher. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Is that right?
7's right.
Count them.
Ernie Harwell, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Started his major league broadcasting career in 1948 with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Just a game, as simple as a ball and bat, and yet as complex as the Americans.
Kim, who was introduced to the world during the World Series last year. One who threw the home run pitches. Games 4 and 5. Tito Martinez tying game 4, and Derek Jeter winning game 4 in extra innings. The runner goes. That's Randy Wynn. The throw by Miller. Not good, but he had no chance. Stolen base for Wynn, and he's in second with 2 out. Again, the tying run is at the plate here for the American League, and Byung-Hyun Kim is trying to get this game the 7th inning stretch time.
It's very difficult for a catcher to throw with a pitcher who throws sidearm like that. He keeps the ball down. It makes it difficult to throw from there. Takes a long time to get it to the plate. I got to tell you, Joe, in my view, the way I see it, Kim is the biggest story in this game. To have gone through what he went through last year in games 4 and 5, 2 2-run home runs in the 9th inning with 2 outs, and then to come back and make the All-Star game the next year is heartening, to say the least.
Got a save earlier in the season at Yankee Stadium, where he just couldn't get that final out during the World Series this past November. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and that's up and away. June the 12th, the save from Byung-Hyun Kim, and after he got the save, a double play ball, took the baseball and sent it sailing up into the netting beyond the wall in left field.
Right toward Monument Park.
Runner at second, 2 out. Batista at the plate. Here's a guy, Tony Batista, who's had really an odd career. A lot of good, a little bad, and he reaches out and dumps one into left field. This is a 1-run game. Randy Wynn is in to score as Batista connects against Kim. And all of a sudden, it's 5-4 National League. So the old 2-out walk, the stolen base. Remlinger is on the hook for that run. He allows 2 runs on 1 hit, thanks to this base hit by Tony Batista.
Right off the end of the bat, the slider dumped into left field. And the American League's coming back.
Bautista, a guy who hit 41 home runs in 2000, then was released when he hit 207 with Toronto, picked up by Baltimore. Here he is as an American League All-Star. Now Tejada goes up the middle. He's on. The tying run is at second. The go-ahead run is at first with 2 out. Byung-Hun Kim. Bring it on! Who can forget? Brocious to tie game 5. Then June 12th of this year, back at Yankee Stadium, rain falling, a double play, and relief. But now pitching in relief, he's in trouble again. It's a 1-run National League lead, 2 on with 2 out. And an RBI machine, Konerko, who's driven in 71 the first half of the season and has already doubled in this game, could, with a well-placed hit, put the American League on top for the first time tonight. Well hit into left center field. Back at the wall. Up against the wall. It's a tie game, and now here comes Tejada, and the American League has taken the lead. A 2-out, 2-run double by Konerko, and it's Byung-Hun Kim on the receiving end again.
You saw what happened on baseball's biggest stage. 2 2-run homers to tie it in the 9th last year, and now on baseball's second biggest stage, a double to put the American League on top.
Now A.J. Pierzynski could add to the lead for the American League, and that's inside for ball 1. So here's Byung-Hun Kim right back into it. And the 8th batter of the inning is Pierzynski, who's 0 for 1. Konerko at second with 2 out, 6-5 American League. And Kim doesn't look too confident as he's fallen behind 2-0, and I guess how could he be?
I was thinking the same thing, and rarely are you concerned about a performance of any one player during the All-Star game, because after all, it's an elevated exhibition game. But I would imagine Bob Brindley's concerned about this outing.
No doubt. Junior Spivey takes care of Pierzynski, and that ends the inning, but not before the American League pulls in front. Time to stretch, a good one. 6-5 American League, and Kim back into the shelter of the dugout.